Welcome DayZ modders. Today I'm going to be showcasing you a new program I made that allows you to modify and create custom JSONs for player spawns. So here I'm showing you one that I've made up previously. It allows you to customize your own equipment through a Windows format with a user-friendly interface and create preset loadouts. I'll have two links below. One's to my GitHub and the second one's directly to the download. So if you click on my GitHub link, this is what's going to look like. You got two links here to the download here and here. If you want to fork this repository and make some changes, they are welcome. So either link, it doesn't matter which one you click, they're both going to take you to the same spot. Once you get onto the Mega, you're going to see all the files you need to download right here in this one spot. So we're going to download a zip. Once it's complete, we can open it up, drag it to the desktop or wherever you're going to use it from, extract the files, throw out the zip. That's the loot editor right there. When you open it up, you'll see everything inside here, just like on the Mega folder. You got the executable, that's the main program file right there. Then you have some configs and additional settings files right in the middle here. You're not going to have to worry about those. The bottom is the release notes. If you want to take a read through that, it's got some known issues, installation instructions, notes, the download links, and if you need to get in contact with me, it's got that information there as well. So initial startup of the program, this is what the interface looks like. This is the main form here. Everything's laid out in the slots you'd see in your inventory in DayZ at the top and in the bottom. And then the inventory form is just a button click and then it brings you to this form here. And this is how you go through and select everything that you want in your inventory. So now I'm going to walk you through the actual creation of a loadout. So we'll start with the left shoulder slot. This is a drop down menu. Okay, the search is available. If you wanted to search, say, for AKs, I type in AK, they all come up. I'm going to press up and down to cycle through, and then when I find the one that I want, I'm going to press tab, okay, and that's going to select it. Once you have a weapon selected in the main slot, it's going to open up the rest of the attachment slots. So right now, I can't get at the sight, the magazine, any attachments, the batteries, anything like that, because I have nothing selected in the main slot. So hot slot is pretty self-explanatory. It's your actual hot slot in game. -1 is equal to nothing, and 0 is equal to the top slot. So it goes from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it goes all the way around. But if you don't have any nods equipped, 0 is going to be your top slot. So in this instance, I'm going to put number 0, which will put it at the top. I can select a site. You'll notice, as with all these boxes, everything is available. So if I were to put an ACOG on this gun right now, the file is obviously not going to work because in game an ACOG does not go in an AK. You'll also notice that the names here are the actual names in code, not the names in game. So it might take you a little bit of searching to figure out what's what, but most of them cross over pretty evenly. For instance, the PSO, okay, it's just a PSO1. If the site can take a battery, the battery attachment checkbox will automatically become enabled, and by default it'll be checked, but if for some reason you don't want a battery, you can just click it off. Next, universal light, okay, same thing, the battery checkbox will become enabled, and you can just click it or click it off if for some reason you don't want a battery. One thing you have to keep in mind, when you're using the universal light, you got to make sure that you have the rail handguard on there as well. Next are mags, okay, I'll take a 45 round, make sure your mag matches as well. AK, rail handguard, take a folding buttstock, suppressor, and we'll leave the ghillie wrap off for now. Right shoulder, try an M14, put an ACOG on there, can't put a universal light on M14, 20 round mag, and the ghillie wraps are down here. Hands, take the bloop tube, takes no attachments. Moving over the vest, you'll see the two vest attachments are disabled by default until you select the proper plate carrier that can actually take them. So we got the black green camo here. And once that's selected, that'll open up to allow you to select the attachments. Shirt, self-explanatory. Belt. Okay, there's multiple belts in here. When the rope belt's enabled, it disables all the attachments except for one checkbox. So if you want to add a combat knife to your rope belt, you can just check this box, and then you can change whichever hot slot you want based on that. I'm going to take a military belt. Canteen checkbox. If you want a canteen, it's either yes or no. Okay, the pistol is completely disabled until you select the holster. And based on which pistol you select, different checkboxes will open up. So the CZ75 can take all the pistol attachments, so I can select all. Magnum takes none, so none are selectable. Makarov can take 2, so 2 are selectable, and so on and so on. There's no validation in the backpacks. Some backpacks can take radios, GPSs, and glow sticks, and some can't. So you need to make sure that the backpack you select can actually take a radio and GPS before you select one of these radio buttons. So if I want a radio and I realize that my backpack can't take that, I can just go back up to the top, hit nothing, and it'll reset it, and then I can click that backpack again. For the NVG head strap, once that's clicked, it'll automatically enable the checkbox for the nods. If you want night vision, just leave this checkbox clicked. It'll come pre-attached to your head strap, and it'll also have a battery inside of it. If you select something else, like the aviator glasses, it's going to be automatically disabled because obviously you can't have nods on your head. Feet. So, only one pair of boots can take a knife attachment. They're the military boots. So once they're selected, the knife combo box will open up, and then you can pick whichever knife you want and assign it to a hot slot if that's what you want to do. Helmets, there's lots of helmet selections. There's only one helmet in the game that can take the nods and the tack light, and that's the tack helm. That's the name for it, the MISH 2001 helmet. And once that's selected, both these checkboxes will become enabled, and you can select nods or tack light if you want those on. They will come pre-installed with the battery when you build your loadout. So now that we have our loadout almost completely built, we're going to want to add some items to our inventory. So we're going to come over to this Build Inventory button. Click that, it's going to bring us to the Inventory Editor page. So how this works, if you want to add an item to your inventory, you're going to click this checkbox here. It's immediately going to put at least one item in your inventory. If you want to add more, you could add, say, 5 or however many you want. There's no validation in here for space, so you need to make sure that you don't go over your space. There's no calculator to see how much space you have left and how much you've taken up, so you just kind of have to eyeball that yourself. If you want to add a hot slot to something in your inventory, you can do that in here as well. So if you want a 101, you want that in the 6th hot slot, you can put that in here as well. Also right now there's no validation for quantity and hot slots. It hasn't been fully tested yet, but I believe if you put more than one and assign it to the same hot slot, it will work. It'll only put one in that hot slot, but it is something that could bug out right now. So if you are going to assign a hot slot, I just recommend that you only put one item in there. There is a search function here. Remember, all the names listed here are names in code, so they're their names in real life. They're not in-game names. So if we want to find some frags, we'll just search for grenades, flash grenades, smoke grenades, M67. Okay, that's a frag grenade, a Western frag grenade. We'll put 4 in there. So how the inventory works is it attempts to find whatever spot is best suited for it to go. So if I put 4 frag grenades in my inventory right now, they're going to automatically attach to my plate carrier. So the best I can tell is the DayZ does its math and puts it wherever it can fit the most amount of stuff. So you really don't have any say over what goes where. I can't choose what goes in my pants or what goes in my vest or anything like that. the cargo system just puts it wherever it's best suited for it. Once you're done, you can hit accept to save your selection, or you could hit reset, and that's just going to give you a blank slate and go all the way back, and you're going to have to start over. So let's add a couple items here, and then accept. This check mark is going to let you know that your inventory has been built. You can go back in and rebuild your inventory if you want that to do that, but it's going to reset everything that you have selected. So when I come back in, it's a blank slate again. So make sure if you're coming back in, you're aware that you're going to lose all your progress. So we're almost ready to export our JSON. The last two things that we need to select is the spawn chance and the loadout name. So how the spawn chance works, it's a number between 1 and 10, 1 being a very high chance and 10 being a very low chance. So I can create multiple loadouts and have them loaded up at the same time and determine which one I want to spawn more often based on the spawn chance. So if I have a loadout that I really like and I want it to spawn pretty much every time, I'm going to leave that spawn chance at 1. If I have another loadout that I only want to spawn 10% of the time, I'm going to put that spawn chance up to 10. So 1, very common, and 10, not so common. The next thing we're going to have to change is the loadout name. This really has no bearing on anything as far as I could tell. We can pretty much name this whatever we want. I'll show you what that does in an actual JSON file. So this is a pre-made JSON that I had made up. It's fully functioning. What that name does is just change this name right in here. So this is just something right in the JSON. It's not your file name. It really has no bearing. You'll see above that is the spawn weight there. Down at the very bottom we have some presets. These are just some things that I threw in here. If you're lazy and you want to not make your own kits and just use something I already have thrown together, you can do this. Just be aware if you click on any of these, it's going to delete everything that you have in here and put in my presets. So we'll click on a camo kit. Okay, that's just going to build you a complete camo clothing, black, all blacked out clothing. Western kit, okay, that's going to be an Allied United States Marine Corps pants, all green, M4, M14. Eastern kit, okay, you get your AK style weapons, and this is an all black kit. The reset button, that's going to reset everything that you've done up to this date. It's going to set everything back to the default. It's also going to erase your inventory as well. So once we're all done, we say we've made all our selections and everything like that. We're going to click Create JSON. It's very important that you know your file name. I'm going to show you how you load this in your Nitrado server later, but make sure that you remember what you name your file. So I'm going to name that M42. It's going to automatically save as a JSON, and click Save, and our JSON should be saved. This is the folder I saved my JSON to. This M42 JSON is the one I created. So you see this is the default loadout I had selected. Up at the top you see it's the Western loadout. We got the M4, all of its attachments, the M14, the bloop tube, the marine style camo, everything else is green. One thing I should mention, if you're going to use one of my preset loadouts, your inventory is going to be empty. So cargo 1 is the slot name for your inventory. And you can see down here this list is empty. So if you want to use these loadouts, I suggest you go in and build some inventory, add some mags, stuff like that. In a future video I might get into the actual breakdown of this JSON file. It's pretty complicated, but once you get the basic understanding of the lists and arrays and stuff like that, it's not too complicated, but that's for another video. So it's important you remember the name of your JSON here. That can be edited online in the Nitrado server, but I recommend you get some sort of Notepad++ or something like that, some sort of software that you can open up your CFG gameplay JSON on your desktop. I just find it's easier to modify this straight from your computer as opposed to the browser. So I'm going to show you where you bring your files to, but this is where you select what loadout you want to load up. So under player data, you'll see disable personal light, and then below that, spawn gear preset files. Okay, if that's not there, copy that exactly as it is and put it into your CFG gameplay JSON. You're going to want to leave the custom / always, and then you're just going to adjust based on your file name. So mine was M42 JSON. If I built multiple different loadouts and I want to have a bunch of different ones run at the same time, I'm just going to put a comma. Whatever I named it, maybe it was M43.json, and then make sure you end with the commas, okay? That right there is going to load up 2 different loadouts at the same time. And remember the spawn chance I was telling you guys about? So if this one's 1 and this one's 10, this one's going to spawn most of the time. This one's only going to spawn about 10% of the time. For us, we're only going to load up 1 right now. So we'll just put in the custom M42 JSON and no comma. We're going to save that, exit out, and then go on to our Nitrado server. Anytime we're doing any changes or anything like that to our server, it's just good practice to stop it. Also, I recommend you back up your server before you do any of these mods. There's a chance that something might bug. Next, we're going to come down to Tools, File Browser. So this is what it's going to look like if you're first coming in here. We're going to go into DayZ Missions, DayZ Offline Chinaris Plus. If you're on Livonia, it'll say Livonia. Folder we're looking for initially is custom. So this is where you're going to upload all of the JSONs you have built. You can have as many as you want in here. It doesn't matter how many you have. That CFG gameplay JSON I was telling you guys about, in there, that determines which JSON is actually going to be used. So I could have 30 in here, but it only gets selected based on what I have in that CFG gameplay JSON. So I'm going to upload the one I created with you guys, the m42.json. Good. Next I'm going to go back to DayZ Offline Chinaris Plus. So right here you see our CFG gameplay JSON. You can edit it in here. So right here are spawn gear preset files. I can come in here and just manually change them on the browser if I wanted to. Personally, I don't like doing that. I like doing it offline. So I did it offline. I'm going to upload my file, which was right here. That's uploaded. I'm going to start my server. So the next time I spawn in, I should be spawning in with the loadout that I had created. Here we are over on my community server. If you guys are ever looking for somewhere to play on PvP, that's my server. It's Prison Island. Only PvP, all pre-made loadouts, so if you guys are looking for something to do, come on over and have some fun. So we're going to load it up here, and I'll show you the custom preset that I had loaded up for the western side. That's one thing I want to mention before we finish, guys, is if you try and break the program, it's going to break. No, you can't put your 75 round drum on the Tundra. If the program says you can do it, you can't do it. You need a little bit of base knowledge of DayZ. If you try and break it, it's going to break. So just keep that in mind. I am looking for people to help me test it out. If anybody has some extra time, any coding experience, anything like that, just fork my repository. I'm also looking for people to test it on PC as well as Xbox. Right now I've only ever tested it on PlayStation because that's what I play on. So you can see this is the loadout all loaded up. The inventory is completely empty. I have nothing for the inventory for the preset. So if you guys are going to use a preset, make sure you load it up. Thanks for sticking with me all this time. I hope this program helps you guys out in building your default loadouts. Until next time, cheers.